Theurgia, or Perito Neheption Mysterion, De Mysteriis Egyptorium, or On the Mysteries of the Egyptians, Chaldeans, and Assyrians, by Iamblichus, translated from Greek by Alexander Wilder. Iamblichus, who lived 250 to 325 AD, is among the most important of the so-called Neoplatonic philosophers, second only to Plotinus. He was a student of Plotinus' disciple Porphyry. His influential treatise, Theurgia, or On the Mysteries of Egypt, deals with a higher magic, which operates through the agency of the gods. Agrippa refers frequently to Iamblichus in his Occulta Philosophia. Iamblichus also had a strong influence on other Renaissance occultists like Ficino, Pico della Mirandola, and Giordano Bruno. Iamblichus is also explicitly mentioned in the Grimorium Virum. Chapter 1. Letter of Porphyry to Anebo. Porphyry to the prophet Anebo, greeting. I will begin this friendly correspondence with thee with a view to learning what is believed in respect to the gods and good daemons, and likewise the various philosophic speculations in regard to them. Very many things have been set forth concerning these subjects by the Grecian philosophers, but for the most part have derived the substance of their belief from conjecture. Footnote 1. Porphyry, it is well known, was a distinguished scholar, and the foremost writer in the later Platonic school. He was a native of Tyre, and his name, Molech, or king, was rendered by Longinus into Porphyrios, denoting the royal purple, as a proper equivalent. He was a disciple of Plotinus, who had broadened the field of philosophic study until it included the wisdom of the East. In personal habits, he followed the Pythagorean discipline. He was a severe critic of the Gnostic beliefs, then current, and he evidently included with them also the new Christian faith. His mysticism was spiritual and contemplative, and he regarded the ceremonial rites of the Egyptian theurgy with distrust. He favored Mithraism, which prevailed in Asia, while Iamblichus belonged rather to the cult of Serapis, which was the state religion of Egypt. Of Anebo we know little. He is addressed as an Egyptian priest, and his name is that of Anabu, or Anubis, the Egyptian Psychompompus and patron of sacred literature. He was a prophet, hen niter, or servant of divinity, and expounder of the oracles, and Porphyry himself, an epoptis, or initiated person, asks him accordingly to explain the Egyptian theosophic doctrines respecting the divine beings, rites, and religious faith. Section 1. The Gods and Their Peculiarities. In the first place, therefore, it is to be taken for granted that there are gods. I ask then, what are the peculiarities of the superior races by which they are differentiated from each other? Are we to suppose the cause of the distinction to be their energies, or their passive motions, or things consequent? Or is it a classification established by difference of bodies, the gods being distinguished by ethereal bodies, the daemons by aerial bodies, and souls by bodies pertaining to the earth? As the gods dwell in heaven only, I ask therefore, why are invocations at the theurgic rites directed to them as being of the earth and underworld? How is it that although possessing power unlimited, undivided, and unrestricted, some of them are mentioned as being of the water and of the atmosphere, and that others are allotted by definite limitations to different places and to distinct parts of bodies? If they are actually separated by circumscribed limitations of parts, and according to diversities of places and subject bodies, how will there be any union of them one to another? How can the Theosophers consider them as impressionable? For it is said that on this account phallic images are set up and that immodest language is used at the rites. Certainly, if they are impassive and unimpressionable, the invocations of the gods, announcing favorable inclinations, propitiations of their anger, and expiatory sacrifices, and still further, what are called necessities of the gods, will be utterly useless. For that which is impassive is not to be charmed or forced or constrained by necessity. Why then are many things performed to them in the sacred rites as to impressionable beings? The invocations are made as to gods that are impressionable beings, so that it is implied that not the daemons only are impressionable, but the gods likewise. As was declared in Homer, even the gods themselves are yielding. Footnote 2. The Theosophers were regarded as learned in the arcane knowledge, and especially in theurgy. Iamblichus appears to have adopted those rites and usages from the Egyptian worship, including with them a philosophic groundwork from the Platonic doctrines. Footnote 3. The use of images and emblems of a sacred character to typify divine power and energy is universal. Somewhat of the divine was supposed to inhere in them. The images and asheras, or groves, mentioned in the Bible were of this character. So was the idol in a grove, made by Queen Macha, as well as the simulacrums which, as Herodotus states, the Egyptian women carried at the festivals. Footnote 4. Compare Gospel according to Matthew. From the days of John the Baptist till now, the kingdom of heaven is forced, and they who are violent seize it. Suppose then we say, as certain individuals have affirmed, that the gods are pure mental essences, and that the daemons are psychic beings participating of mind. The fact remains, nevertheless, that the pure mental essences are not to be charmed or mingled with things of sense, and that the supplications which are offered are entirely foreign to this purity of mental substance. But on the other hand, the things that are offered as to sensitive and psychic natures. Are gods then separated from daemons by the distinction of bodied and unbodied? If, however, only the gods are incorporeal, how shall the sun, the moon, and the visible luminaries in the sky be accounted as gods? How is it that some of them are givers of good and others bring evil? What is the bond of union that connects the divinities in the sky that have bodies with the gods that are unbodied? The gods that are visible in the sky, being included in the same category with the invisible, what distinguishes the daemons from the visible, and likewise the invisible gods?